All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about this particular section today, 4.5, simplifying square roots. So if you need some extra help with that and you're unsure on how to do that, this is a good video for you to get help with. So there's a property called the product property, multiplication, right? Property of square roots. It says, hey, listen, if you have the square root of two things that are multiplied inside, two factors, if you will, you can break them up into separate pieces. Or you can also think of it the opposite way. If they're two separate pieces, you can multiply them together and put them inside the radical sign. Okay. So where does this apply? Well, if this applies to a problem like this, example number 1, square root of 63, how do I simplify this is the question. Well, 63, I can think of a number of different factors that goes into, but the idea is you want to try to use a perfect square as one of the factors, and your perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, right? 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, and so on and so forth, right? So I look at 63, I say, which one of these numbers is one of the factors of 63? And so right away, my mind goes to 9. So I think, okay, well, I know that 9 times 7 gives me 63. And that's a good thing because this square root of 9 happens to be one of my perfect squares. So that's a good sign. That means I can actually simplify the square root of 9, which is 3. And then square root of 7, oh, that can't be simplified any further. And so that would be my answer. I would leave it alone. 3 times the square root of 7. Okay. All right, let's try another example out. Example number 2. Let's try something like the square root of 80. All right, so once again, I'm thinking of which one of these numbers here that 80 is the product of, right? So I'm thinking, let's see, 81, that's too big. 64 is not going to work. 49, probably not. I can even write it to the side. I know that 80 times 1 gives me 80. 40 times 2. I can do 20 times 4, right? What else can I do? There's probably some other factors. Let me see. 80. Yeah, I can do 16 times 5. And nothing else is coming to mind, but 8 times 10, yeah? 8 times 10. So this is a good thing, and now I can see that of the two that I've used with my factors, this one happens to have a perfect square, and so does this one. But I want to use the one that has the largest perfect square, so that's going to be this one right here. So I'll split this up, and I'll say the square root of 16 times the square root of 5. Square root of 16, that's a perfect square, that's 4. Square root of 5, I can't break it down any further, so I leave it at 5. Okay, so that would be my answer there. I'll do one last question here. Let's say they had already set up. They're already set up as separate answers. So root 2 times root 27. Well, what I can do here is I can use my property like this and combine them back again. So 27 times 2, that's going to give me 54. At this point, I'm going to break it back into 2 again, except I want to use one of my perfect squares if it's one of the factors. And then 9 happens to be one of those factors. So 9 times 6 gives you 54. Well, square root of 9 is a perfect square, which is 3, and then I get root 6. And so that would be my simplified answer to that. Hopefully that you found it helpful, and make sure you come to class with questions when you need to.